Real estate agent? Are you looking to acquire clients consistently so you can grow your business and your income to live a great lifestyle? This is Dave Finale and the RE Skill Builder Podcast.
And good morning, everybody. Yes, we are a few minutes late, but that's all because we have great internet all over the world, and the internet never gives us a hard time. But here we are. We're finally here. This is episode 123, Jay. Did you know that? 123.
Man, that's awesome.
In a row with a couple extra shows in for a couple of people that are, some people might know by the name of, what were their names? Tom Ferry and John Cheplack. They were the extra shows, right? So this is Real Estate Talk, TGIF, as I said, episode 123. Jay, do you know what TGIF stands for?
Well, I don't know. I know what it stands for most people.
Well, for here, honestly, Jay, I'm surprised you didn't know. It means thank God it's finale. That's right.
Yeah, there
thank
you
God
go.
It's finale. Here we go, man. So we are very happy to have on Jay Kinder, who is a legend in the real estate business. Been in it a couple of years. Built a business up from being just a simple a guy who cut grass all the way up to having a great business, a great system. And really didn't work for a lot of different people in your career, Jay. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So, I was. I think the natural transition from mowing grass into becoming a real estate agent, is probably not the most likely success rate, to becoming successful. But it worked out. Figured it out.
Yeah, it did. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, from getting a couple of $100 to a couple of $1,000 in a check, that's not a bad transition, though, right?
Yeah. It was once I saw the money that was being made, and if you've ever mowed yards on rental property, that's the ones I got to mow, and it was the people that didn't, that didn't pay the rent and that didn't mow the grass. Those were the yards that I got to mow. So I was happy to jump into something that had a little bit more opportunity.
So talk about your story a little bit, and I don't really, I mean. A lot of people want to know everybody's story, and a lot of people know your story, where you came from, and we just alluded to that in a nice way. And you got a great story. So talk about getting into the business, and what was your biggest hurdle, and how you were able to make more money, and what drove you in order to do that. Okay.
Yeah. So, I was young. So I've been in the business 22 years. I got in when I was 19 years old. My dad was in real estate, but he wasn't in real estate the way that you might think about a parent being in real estate. He was in property management, and he bought a Coldwell Banker the year that I graduated high school. So I was going to college, mowing yards for my dad, and I see a guy, I go in to get my check, and this guy, Rusty Williams, is getting a check for I can't remember. It was a lot of money to me at the time, $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000. I was like, what did he do today? Because I didn't understand the commission and how it worked or any of that. Because my dad really wasn't in sales, so he was doing property management. But all these agents now he has at the company he bought, he was dealing with the sales side of it. And so I was like, he made like 5 G's a day. I don't think he broke a sweat. I'm in the meantime, I'm out there, mowing yards and getting fleas and everything else from the stuff that I'm doing. I'm like, this is not working for me. I'm like, maybe I should get my real estate license. So I never really wanted to get my real estate license until I saw that there was opportunity there, and I felt like, well, shoot, all I got to do is sell a house a month or two, and then I'll be doing pretty good. And so that was what kind of attracted me to it. I think the natural challenge that the first challenge that I had was my age. I mean, I think the good news was I didn't know what I didn't know. I thought it was whatever possible that I could be selling houses and make the same money that some of these other agents were in the office. And so then it just became a learning process. And for me, it was all, I didn't know this at the time, but what I needed was the sales skills. And that was what I needed to learn. And fortunately, the first 2 classes I took, one was Dale Carnegie. So that was the very first class I ever took. I think I was still 18 when I took that class.
Wow.
So that was a game changer for me, because I was not a public speaker. I was not an outspoken kind of a person. And so that helped me, being able to talk to people and build some confidence, I think. So that, then the first book I ever read was How to Win Friends and Influence People, because of that course. And that's a book that everybody should read more than once. And so I think it was at that point, it was just trying to figure it out like everybody else, and trying to figure out, how do you get deals? How am I going to get, a transaction? How am I going to find a willing buyer, willing seller?
Yeah. So over the years, I mean, I've been in business a couple of years, and I've always noticed try to look at what people do to be successful, right? Like I've noticed you over the years, National Association for Real Estate. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
NAEA.
Right. Yep.
Right. Sorry about that.
No worries.
But I was involved a little bit in that. I saw everything that you've done, but one of the most important things is we talk about goals, right? And the past week, I have this little thing I call GCAP, which is goals, commitment, action steps, and the last thing you need to do with all of it is actually perform. That's where the P comes in. Actually perform what you're doing. So you said one of the things in our conversation the other day that you actually became real goal oriented in order to escalate your business. Talk about that and what and the driving force behind deciding to make that choice of being goal oriented in this business.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because I wasn't that ambitious naturally. So like I remember my dad, he had this thing, Cole Banker basically gave him these personal action plans, and he passed it out to everybody at the sales meeting. I'm in there, so I get mine and I fill it out. And it had like part of it was a 5-year plan. I remember, I think I had my goal for 5 years was like $50,000 a year. So like I wasn't money wise, I wasn't ambitious when I got into real estate. But because I filled out this process, and then I go through a year, and he passes out the second year, and I remember one of the questions was, where did your last 10 deals come from? And in my first year, I did 22 transactions, so I started going back and looking at where they came from, and one was a FSBO, one was an expired, and one was an REO. I picked up some REO business, and nobody else wanted to mess with, and so I started seeing what was working. Like, okay, well, I need to do more of that, I guess. And, I didn't have much of a sphere of influence at the time. So most of the business was, from hustling, open house, FSBOs, and expires. And so there was a little bit of awareness for me. And then it's like, well, what's the goal? And so I kind of raised my goals a little bit. And sure enough, I was able to hit those goals. And it became very clear when you do the math and you reverse engineer what you have to do. Well, if I want to make X amount of dollars, I just need to do, X amount of deals a week, right? Or whatever it boiled down to. And just going through that process of doing the math, and then executing on that and seeing how closely you could get to hitting the goal. Right. It was something I did every year. And as we talked, it was something that I was very, very passionate about, because I set this crazy goal of $500,000. And I remember I made $200,000, and I was probably 20 years old, I think. And I remember the tax guy. I remember my stock advisor, who was a guy that I had in some of the.
Wait a minute, you're 20 years old and you have a stock advisor.
Only reason I even met with him, his name was David Denham, nicest guy ever. He lived in one of the nicest houses on the street that I drove by to go to the office every day. I was just a kid, but I had a really successful second and third year in business. And I remember when he asked me how much I was making, he said, "You're making more than me." And I was like, that makes me feel uncomfortable. Like I don't even know what to say to that. But he was in Ambucks with me, so I was in a bunch of little civic organizations and stuff like that I got involved in at a young age, and so I got to meet a lot of people in town or whatever. And he was just one of the guys that, hey, you should come meet with me, whatever. And so and my tax guy said the same thing. He was like, unbelievable, you made that much money. I was like, I know, I can't believe it either. Like, it's pretty crazy. But then I remember I set my goal for 500,000. Reverse engineered how many listings I was going to have to get, all that stuff, and then I hit 510,000 that next year. Like, I set the goal, go back to the end of the year. You look at it again, you're like, holy moly, I did exactly what I set out to do. And so then I doubled it again, and I set a goal at $1 million, and I hit 1,030,000 the next year. And so, like, for me, it became, there's no way I'm going to start any process of anything I'm going to put my effort and energy into that I'm not going to reverse engineer where I'm at, where I'm trying to go, and set a goal around it. And so for me, that was just a big part of the process and I think for most people, when you do it and you realize, well, that's just like, I only need to get, if I want to make $100,000 a year, I just need to get one listing a week. Well, that's not that hard to do, right? Like, it becomes, you kind of see you see that it's very possible. And I think that was, for me, I had a lot of confidence I was going to figure it out one way or another, how to get there, once I understood that it wasn't that much that I was going to actually have to do in order to hit the goal.
Yeah, so this is really apropos of what I've been talking about for the past week. I mean, this is being broadcast live in October of 2020. It's October 23rd. So now is really the time when we really start. I mean, really before this, we start thinking about the next year and doing our planning and business planning, because, as you know, Jay, the new year of real estate really starts in a couple of weeks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because everything is 60 or 90 days ahead. So I've been talking about goals a lot and commitment and action steps and performance and all that stuff. And you hit that really well. And what you said was that you decided that you wanted to make a certain amount of money, and then you reverse engineered it.
Right.
Now, reverse engineer actually means that you're going to see, okay, so how much money is it going to take me? How much money do I have to make per deal, or what I made per deal? And then that's how many you decided you had to make on a weekly or a monthly basis.
Right.
Now, we all get that, right? And that's really the most important part. But I think there's one thing that we need to go a little bit further on, because one of the things that I try to do is I specialize in getting people unstuck and stop having this kind of an income, right? What do they do? So if they're working on making calls, if they're working on door knocking, is there anything different they need to do, or just intensify?
Well, I think to take it a level deeper, part of what I would do is what's my average. When you're doing the math, you have to do with the average commission. Everybody usually puts 3%, but if you actually go back and look at what you actually got paid, it's probably like 2.7%. So doing the real math was the first step for me. And then what percentage of my business is going to be buyer versus seller? And that's kind of part of that is strategy and where you're going to focus your energy. But whatever it is what it was, right? So if it's 50-50 or it's 70-30, you can put an effort towards improving that number, but you need to put what it's been is probably, in some ways going to be kind of close to what it's probably going to be again. So use it. And then, so what percentage of your listings that you took actually sold? What percentage of the buyers that you actually put under agreement actually closed? And using some going back and doing the real math and getting clear on that was a big piece of knowing, okay, if I want to have, 20 sale, if I want to make $100,000 and, not every listing is going to sell, then, I'm going to need to list this many homes, per month in order to get there. And so that was a big piece of it, was actually knowing the true math and not just kind of doing the dirty math. And so that was important. And then it becomes, well, what are all the ways to hit the goal, right? So if I need to get 4 listings a month or whatever the number is, for me, I focused on the listing side. That was just my strategy. I didn't really, back then, there wasn't a whole lot of lead generation online to find buyer leads. So the only thing I knew to do was to try to find people that wanted to sell a house, or, doing open houses and stuff like that was kind of the method, but I was looking for listings. And so, once you get real clear on the number, now everything that you're doing, you're running it through the filter of how's this going to help me get another listing. Right. And that's where the clarity of what you have to be able to do. And it's crazy how it works. If you get the number of listings that you need to get, you're going to probably end up with the same number of buyers that you have a goal for on accident, just because of the nature of getting listings, attracting buyers, doing open houses, things of that nature, that's going to result in you getting buyers that you're going to sell anyway. So my focus was always on the listing side. And I think that was probably the reason why I was able to hit the goal, is because listings have babies, right? You get a listing, they could have another house to sell. If it's a listing and they're getting a divorce, they got to buy 2 houses, right? There's just so many more things that happen from, you get a listing and it sells, and the guy down the street calls you and says he wants to sell his house. And those are just things that don't happen as much on the buy side. And you don't have as much leverage if you're focused on the buy side. So I feel like, and then I think the skills, I think that buyers are easier because you don't really have to convince them to pay you the full commission. And I think the skills that you learn on going on listing appointments, especially expired and FSBO, that skill set I can take into any market in the country and parachute me into, and I could go get business. And that's a skill set that's hard to learn, but once you learn it, you really have control over, and you can't afford to spend money in marketing until you know how to compete and win and get a listing. It's easy to get a referral, and most people think they're really good and everybody loves them and everybody's going to list with them, but until it's a stranger that hasn't been referred to you, and then you have to really understand and have a good skill set for how to win that listing. And so I think that's part of the strategy that for me was critical.
I think all in all, you use the word clarity in your discussion just then about being clear on what you have to do and being clear on your goals, clear on your priorities every day. And that's how you really reversed engineered, because you were more likely to achieve when you were clear on your goals, right? So where was the intensity as far as your concentration was on listings, but you also did a lot of open houses, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh shit. Every Sunday. Every Sunday. Every Sunday.
Everybody hear that? He said every Sunday.
Every Sunday. Yep. Every single Sunday. I didn't miss. Yeah, it was just, that was the only place. I mean, I didn't have any other options really to meet people. I didn't have a sphere of influence. I mean, all my friends were still doing keg stands, me too, included on the weekends. But like, it was just, I was a young kid, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't have a lot of people that were in my sphere that were buying houses. And I didn't have any money to really invest in marketing, nor did I really know where to invest it.
Right.
And so, yeah, so in a lot of ways, like it was, it was conversations with people that led to me eventually getting business. And the only place I knew to meet people was at open houses. So that was and some of them were brutal, man. Some of them were just brutal, you know what I'm saying? 2 or 3 people that show up, you know what I'm saying? And I learned later how to do better open houses, but, the more signs you put up, the more people you're going to get and stuff like that. But, at the time, you're just you're doing everything you can to try to figure it out.
I think that's one of the important things that you had open houses where you got 1 or 2 people or 3 people. I've done those, did those years ago. And what was lastly, we used to call, there's this word that begins with an N. It used to be called normal. We used to have a normal market. I tell people the last normal market we had was September 10th, 2001. That was the last normal market. There's been nothing normal since that day, right? And I just looked at it and said, holy shit, I mean, what's going on with it? You had to do open house. But I want to transition a little bit into some of the things that you try to instill in people. I mean, one of the things you said the other day that you said to yourself, no matter what, every conversation you were thinking about, okay, what can I get these people to do? And this is part of it. I mean, you lived and breathed everything real estate, right?
Right.
Is that right? I mean,
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had nothing else to do. So, I mean, and it's funny because it wasn't so much the money, but I wanted to hit the numbers. I wanted to hit the goal. And so, I mean, I was at every open house. If I was talking to you, I was asking you if you had a house to sell. And those were the people that I was trying to get in to see their property and take a look at it if they were looking to sell. And so like I was, every conversation, I don't care if we were, if I was in the supermarket or whatever the case may be, I'm looking for people that have a home to sell. If I'm talking to a buyer, I'm thinking about, do you have a home? Do you need to sell? And so like, that was just my focus. And generally, I was always genuinely interested in people and what their goal is and what they're trying to accomplish and how I could help them. And so I was coming from a place of being genuine and trying to help people. But I was looking for, I knew what my goal was. And I was looking for somebody who knew somebody that needed to sell a house. That was always the frame of reference that I was in.
So it was Jay Kinder Real Estate 24/7 all the time, right?
I was, yeah.
And I say that, and I repeated that, and I asked you that a minute ago about the same kind when I asked that other question. But I want people to understand, and the most important thing I think to understand is that you knew what your goal was. You had completely and totally committed to that goal. And I use the word commitment a lot. I've been very fortunate to have coached with John Cheplack for a long time. Mm-hmm. And we always talked about the word commitment. Now, your commitment is measured only by your results. Goals can't be measured, right?
Right.
So you committed to doubling it, and you knew that the only way you could measure that was by hitting the goal, and you did, right? So if there's no desire, it doesn't matter what you teach somebody. Is that right?
100%.
Right.
If there's no awareness, right? Like, first of all, you have to have an awareness that you could be better, you could do more, you could have more like that. Some people don't even have the awareness, but if you don't have the desire, that's where it ends right there. If you don't have the desire to want to be more, do more, have more, give more, contribute more, I can't fix that part. That's the part I can't help you with. You got to have the desire.
So what would you say to somebody that says, yeah, I want to do it, but I keep only doing like 10, 12 deals a year. I want to do it. But, as like you as a coach, me as a coach, we look at these people and say, well, you're really not doing the work.
Right. 100%. Yeah. You say, it was the funniest thing because I usually don't end up in conversations with people that don't have goals. And I actually was for the first time, and it caught me so off guard. I got really pissed off at the guy about it, to be honest with you. And I asked him what his goal was. And he's like, I said, well, how many homes have you sold so far this year? And he's like, I don't know. So, well, how many homes do you want to sell? How much do you, well, let me ask you this. How much money do you make? Well, I'm not sure. Well, how much do you want to make? Well, I really don't know. And so I'm like, I can't help this dude. Like, why are we even on a call? What do you want from me? I can't help you. You don't even have a goal for yourself. And I said, listen, I don't know what it's like in the people that you hang out with, but I said, I'm the kind of guy that's going to challenge you. So I'm just going to tell you, you're going to need to level up. If you don't have to come join us and partner up with us or do anything with us, as far as I'm concerned, you should just stay where you're at. If you're comfortable, then stay where you're at. But if you want to be challenged.
I'm sorry, man. I hit the wrong button.
It's all right.
If you want to be challenged, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it was just very off-putting to me that this guy had no goals and he had no real entry. He was comfortable, and once I recognized it, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rattle his cage a little bit and see maybe if he comes out of that, And he didn't. He got mad. He got mad, and he'll stay probably right where he's at. But you gotta have some desire to want to do it, and it starts with getting clear on what that looks like. What does success look like to you? And, I think most of the people, and maybe it's just the kind of the way I've engineered things in my life, but I don't talk to a lot of people that don't have big goals or at least have some kind of goal. But, you need to challenge yourself, and you need to be around people that kind of push you to that next level and make you want to do more. But when you see people I'll never forget the first event, Dave, I bet you probably had a similar experience. I remember I went to one of these events, and I, as far as I knew, all I had saw was what Tom King had done. And he was the #1 sales guy in the office, and he sold probably 8 or 10 million, 5 to 8 or 10 million a year. That's all I knew was really possible. That's all I'd really seen. I'm sitting at an event next to a guy that's doing 400 transactions. And I'm like, what? And he gets up to the microphone and asks a question or something. And he's like, yeah, I did 400 some transactions last year. I was like, how in the hell did somebody sell 400 homes? It wasn't but my brain got stretched, right? I saw that it could be done. And I was like, okay, well, if he could do it, then probably so could I. And so like that, but that you got to get around the right people in some cases in order to get your brain stretched a little bit. And then once it's possible, it's kind of hard to go back to thinking small again, right? Like it was for me. Now maybe other people can be like, yeah, okay, that's not for me. But for me, I was like, well, shoot, I could probably do that. And once I saw that it could be done, I knew I could do it, right? I knew if he could do it, I could do it. I just need to learn what he knows. And that was it. And
what you just said is just like perfect segue into where we're going now. Is like, first I'm gonna bring somebody on. We're talking about being around the right people. Holy shit, right? But I want to go into. I accidentally hit my commercial button because there was a dust on my touchpad, and I touched the dust and it went off. I apologize for that.
No worries, man. No worries at all.
And we're just going to go into a little bit about njheroesprogram.com, and then we're bringing on my shoulder to shoulder colleague Sekou. So hold on, here we go. njheroesprogram.com is all about heroes. What's a hero? Who's a hero? Active military, military veterans, police and fire personnel, nurses, doctors, teachers, municipal workers, grocery store workers, and transportation workers. This is about helping these heroes, save money when buying and selling their homes. Through the New Jersey Buyer Rebate Program and Seller Negotiable Commissions, njheroesprogram.com saves heroes money when buying and selling their homes. I'm Dave Finale. I'm a real estate broker in New Jersey and a real estate coach helping agents nationwide. I've coordinated real estate agents and affiliated services all over the state of New Jersey to save our heroes money when buying and selling homes. We need to help them out. Heroes come in many shapes, sizes, attitudes, and jobs, right? The one thing that makes them all heroes is they helped us. One way or the other, they protected us. They've been there for us. Now I think it's our turn to be there for them. At least it's my turn. Go to njheroesprogram.com as a hero and give us a little information so we can save you money when you buy a home. As an agent, loan officer, home inspector, attorney, or anyone aiding in home ownership, become a sponsor. To become a sponsor, there is no cost. All you have to do is give back. How easy is that? Go to njheroesprogram.com. I can't wait to talk to all of you. Let's go. Let's get it done. I like that commercial.
I'm still taking notes, guys. Hold on a second. So my mind is expanding. And
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Rocking and rolling, man.
Yes, sir.
I always get on and I'm always loud and I always talk too much, man. So with yesterday and the day before that and the day before that, man, I've been on your One Big Fire
Right. Yeah, we both have.
live.com.
Yeah.
And all I've done is sat on my hands and shut the hell up, man. And just listen, bro. Talk about your mind being expanded and once you grow, you know, another thing happens, right? You never go back, right? So that was the point of what you were saying, and that you never go. Another thing happens when you grow, though. You can't fit the same clothes. You can't fit the same space.
No.
You can't fit the same environment, right? And so I feel like, and if I may, finale. First of all, real estate royalty on this broadcast, man. I'm humble, and let's go, man. Let's go. I want to give a shout out, man, just to the commitment that you've made, Finale. And you talked about how you can't measure your commitment by your goals, only by your results. This is week what, 115 or what? Which week is this?
It's week 121 with 123 shows.
Week 121 with 123 shows. I'm going to tell you now. Those are results that you can play with. Those are results that you can count on. You got Kinder on. You had Kinder. I don't know, man. You Tom Ferry. You've had you know, like you've had some names up on this thing, man. And so I just want to give you props, Finale, and I appreciate and I'm humbled that you let me on. I listened to you, Jay, and I really listened to you, right? And so there was a point in one of your One Big Fire lives where you were talking about how, you know, the intention of agents is to do more, and then the reality of life and business kicks in, and you know, everything else becomes more important than watching the video or getting on the call or doing this and that. I'm guilty of the same damn thing, right? And we're one of those 200 transaction a year agents. We're one of those, you know, 200, 300, 400 transactions a year, you know, groups. And so everything else is more important. I slow down. I stop. Brother, I am literally imitating you, man. I'm like, okay, what is Jay doing? Okay, I need to record my video. I need to have my appointments lined up and things like that. The system that you've set out, and you talk about being here about 36 months, right? Like you you haven't been here 10 years. Right?
No.
So the system that you've set out is not only mind expanding, but it's simple. It's easy to do, man. And so I want to say thank you. And I want to tell you that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. In this case, man, I'm
We all are, yep.
Lockstep, man. I'm rocking with you. I'm just gonna rock the system. And I appreciate it, brother. Thank you,
man. Thank you very much, man. And I used to always say, me and Mike Reese used to call each other, like when we would find something that somebody was doing that we knew that was working for them, that we could adopt and apply to our own real estate businesses. And we were separate, right? He was in Dallas and I was in Oklahoma. I'd call him up and be like, "Hey, copycatter number one, this is copycatter number two. Over, we got a little idea here for you. I need to share it." And we would jokingly do it all the time. And so my mentor was Jay Abraham, and Jay Abraham used to get pissed. He would get really upset with me when I say, "Man, we're just good copycatters. That's all He says, "Stop devaluing what you're doing. The principle is you're modeling success." And so, like, for me, it was always fun. I was like, you know, my greatest quality is the fact that I was a good copycatter. My teachers in high school would be so proud of me, right? Like, you know, like it's not the greatest of gifts you could ever have, but it really truly is when you understand. And it wasn't until and this is where my ego got in the way, and I'll never forget this lesson. I had a coach that I told him the script that I was using wouldn't work. I said, "Hey man, the script's not working." You know, he said, "Record your calls." And I said, "Okay, I'll record the calls." So I recorded the calls, and I gave them to him to listen to, and we listened to him together. And he said, "You didn't follow the script." I said, "Yes, I did." And he said, "Let's play it again." We played it again, and I didn't. I had moved a few words around and kind of made it my own, and I changed it up just enough that it changed the context of the conversation. And I didn't know that because I wasn't an expert. I should have been a better student. And what I felt like such an idiot. I was like, I could be a better listener. I could be a better copycatter. He's telling me to do it just like this. But then I did it just like that. And I got I got the results. Right. And so from that point forward, I was like, you big dummy, don't change it. Be a better copycatter. Right. Like, and so I actually became like, where I probably am not the most gifted is like at that detail of really copying and doing exactly what you said. I had that was such a big impact on me that I believed so strongly I was right and he was wrong. And then I realized I just didn't listen. And so like from that point forward, when somebody told me something, I did exactly what they told me to do. And I would often get the same result. And that was, so I became a good copycat.
Dude, man, I am always talking with agents about scripting. And I get to this point as a scripting coach, as a productivity coach, as a monster in the industry, right? Because I'm just a gorilla when when I'm dealing with the agents. I'm like, listen, you're not practicing your scripts. You're practicing earning $1 million.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, these scripts have made people millions of dollars.
Right.
So all you're doing is practicing making millions of dollars.
Yep.
You can change it around all you want, but all you're doing is reinventing a wheel where
it's already there.
You have no certainty in your results, right? And so it's what's funny is that I'm in the process of building a wealth chart, right? I'm in the process of building a wealth chart, and I'm building a wealth chart with people that maybe 3 weeks ago I was like, I'm not really sure that I can do this. I'm not really sure that these people want to hear me. I'm not really sure that I can approach. And then I sat and watched you, bro. And all I'm doing is practicing making $1 million. That's it.
That's it.
I'm practicing making multins $1 million because all I'm doing is repeating what you've said. I'm a mimic. And here's the thing. I'm trying to sound like you.
That's hard to do. That accent from Oklahoma.
Right.
No, man, we're going to make it happen, bro.
Yeah.
But here's the important part, Sekou and Jay. I mean, we talked about this before, say about, people, I saw it through my entire broker owner career of agents getting these systems, or you say, here, do it this way, it will work. And, a week or two later, come back and say, oh, it didn't work. I said, well, I didn't like the picture, and I changed the words around. Right. No wonder it didn't fucking work.
Right.
You changed it up. You didn't follow what you paid for.
Right.
So it's if something works, you do it. It's just like, I'll be really simple, right? A Facebook ad. If it's bringing you leads and it's getting some business for you, don't shut it off. Why?
Right.
It's still working.
Right.
It's like the ad that I use every year at Christmas time. I have everybody use the same ad. It still gets me in that 10 days over 100 to 200 leads. And 50% of them are great leads.
Yep.
People say, well, Dave, it didn't work. Well, you didn't do it the way you were told to do it.
Right.
Same thing, right, Jay?
That's exactly right, man. It is. And people get, their ego gets in the way, I think is really what it boils down to. But they're just not humble enough. Right. So like that, this was something that I don't know where I learned it. I don't even know what I do, but I know this: every person that I've seen become successful is hungry, humble, and smart. And what I mean by smart is not the smartest kid in class, because I was far from it, but they're smart enough to know that somebody else has got the result and they're not getting it. So it's something they're doing wrong. And that's just a humbleness of knowing, man, if you're getting the result and I'm not, it's me, not you. Right. It's not it's not what you gave me. It's not the system. It's not the process. It's me. And what am I doing wrong? And starting to look for that. And then once you start having the evidence of that happening enough times, you realize it's always you. You're the problem. And so you just got to you change that paradigm and start looking for, okay, well, why am I not getting the result? What am I doing wrong? And then go back to the process and see and find out where you're doing wrong. I used to do this on every listing. And I don't know if normal people are wired this way, but every time I would lose on a listing appointment, and I believe that I'm probably one of the best there ever was on a listing. The only reason is because I competed against a Remax team that was sold 750 homes a year when I was selling 500. I was number 2 in my own market. I never was even number 1 in my own damn market. So every time I competed with them, they would drop their commission to 4% every single time. So like, you want to talk about hard to win? Like, it was really, really hard to learn how to win against them. But I would call and do an autopsy on every single appointment to find out why they didn't list with me when I would lose. I was just morbidly curious as to what I could have done differently and try to figure out a way, right? But I would always get enough intel. I would learn what they were saying about me, what they were saying that they do that's different. and it helped me craft my message without ever saying anything bad about my competition. I learned how to beat them because I was doing these autopsies and really trying to figure out what was everything I could possibly learn to go back and never have to lose again, because I hate losing. And so anyways, that's something that probably helped me the most, was the fact that, you know, every single time I lost, and I probably lost more listing appointments than most people ever go on because of the
Right.
team I had to compete against. But I was always learning and iterating on the process, and that was what helped me to get better with the system.
Jay, I can relate, man. I spent a great deal of my time lead generating, going on listing appointments, and then at the listing appointment, the objection, the commission objection would come up, and I'm almost exactly the opposite of that Remax team that you were going up against. I only take 7, 8, and 9% commission.
Yep.
Right. And so, you know, I literally built some of the best, what I consider some of the best commission objection handlers in the world.
Yeah.
Because I kept losing.
Right.
And I would lose to, like, and I mean, I was doing real estate hardcore when Foxtons was out. Right. And if people remember Foxtons was the 3% total commission. And, you know, they had these like snazzy like booklets and things, and people were driving around in Foxton minis and, you know, crazy shit like that.
Right.
And I'd go up against them, and they'd be like, I got to be honest with you, I like everything you're saying, but this 7%, what is this 7 or 8% thing? And then I would break it down exactly what the commission did for them.
Right.
And man, like you said, bro, I became one of the best listing agents because I kept losing.
Right.
Because I kept losing. And I was losing to some really heavy hitters.
Yep.
They probably are listening. And then we would get together afterwards, man, and laugh about it.
Yeah. Yep.
I gotta be honest with you, man. Everything that you guys are saying this morning is ringing true with me, man. This is deep. Like you said, man, I wasn't the best student in the world, man. I graduated summa cum laude from UCLA, the University of Cornell Lenox Avenue, right? and all of that hustle, all that is imitation, man. All that is seeing folks that survived and doing what they did, right? And not doing what the folks that didn't survive, right? Don't do that. That's wrong, right? And it's made me a better agent, but I think your assessment is correct. It's made me a better mimic. It's made me a better listener. It's made me a better student. And I appreciate that information, man. I appreciate that. I hang out with this guy all the time, man.
Yeah, you know, well, this is the power. It's funny how things ring true, and we're all part of masterminds, and we all mastermind with high level individuals, and you know, when the first time you get in the room with people that humble you in terms of their production, right? Like, they're doing so much more than you, and you start to see around the corner what's coming, right? Like, you can see the future for yourself. It's like, once you see that, you can't not see it. Like, now I know how you do it, and now I know what I got to go back and do. But like, this is the power of the mastermind and the collaboration of us together sharing information. This is where the value is in anything. And when I talk about EXP, I want to show you my wealth chart here in a second, by the way. But
please,
good, yeah, hang on. Let me grab it. So.
You guys got to see this, man. This growth chart is awesome. And he let us peek. I mean, if you ever go to onebigfire.com, One Big Fire Live, look at the wealth chart. If you ever go to onebigfirelive.com, he actually shares the results of that wealth chart.
Yeah. But so look at this. My freedom. This is my freedom number right here. 4,100 agents. That was my freedom number.
Well, I know where you at.
Yeah. So that.
Joe, Jay, wait.
It's funny how that shit works, right? Like, I had a goal.
It works like a motherfucker.
3 years ago, 4,100 agents, and I've surpassed that goal just in the last month. So
that's called manifestation, right?
That's it. It's called clarity, like we talked about, Dave. We've been talking about
clarity. Absolutely.
We got
wait.
reverse engineer.
Jay, it's so very rare that I am a jealous dude, man, right? But my wife was looking over my shoulder at the presentation yesterday, and she saw what you got paid on the 22nd. From the rev share, and she was like, she smacked me in the back of my head. She was like, "What do we need to do to get there?
Hey, get to work. Get to work.
Let's get to work, baby.
That's it, man. It is. But what were we talking about right before that? We're talking about Talk about something.
mimicking and growth and,
Oh, the
and
master,
being
yeah,
around folks.
mastermind.
Yeah, the
Mastermind.
mastermind, man. Like, you know, this is probably the thing we probably all talk about the least about EXP. But we all know it's the most important thing. And like, I used to spend money in the bricks and mortar model. The agents in my office were not the people that I learned how to sell real estate from. The training there was nothing there that I learned by. I used to have a lanyard tree that used to hang over here, and then I had my hotel keys from every. I mean, they 2 stacks this tall of hotel room keys for me traveling to events and being in masterminds and being in groups and paying for coaching and all I was trying to do was get in the room with people like you guys. That's all I was ever trying to do, because I knew that there was people everywhere that had done it before and they weren't in my office. And so if I could get in those rooms and get around those people, that's where I learned. And that's how I became successful. It's what we've been talking about. The principles are the same for all of us. We've all learned from
all of us.
others that came before us. And so that's the difference at EXP. We're all business partners. We're not just all in the same room. We're in business together. Like, I have a financial incentive to be here and help you guys. And I have a financial incentive for anybody you guys bring on to help them as well. That is a huge differentiator. Like, when you talk about the number one thing Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett says, the number one mismanaged variable in business is understanding the alignment and compensation and how it drives behavior. When they have a problem in any of the companies they invest in, the first thing they look at is where was the misalignment in compensation when there's a problem. And I saw him do it live. I went to one of the Berkshire Hathaway events, and somebody was throwing shade at Wells Fargo. This was 3 years ago, because of the mistake that they had where they were basically creating fake accounts and all this kind of stuff. And Warren Buffett didn't even blink. He answered the question. He's like, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. He's like, we'll have a problem. One of my companies is going to do something stupid, and I'll get a call probably next week. And the first place I always look is, where was the misalignment in compensation? Well, in that situation, it was they had this incentive in place for people that made it make sense for them to create fake accounts because they wanted to win the award. And it just was a little bit of misalignment in compensation. There's no company in the world that you can go join right now where there's the alignment of top people in the industry to help you become successful. Financial alignment is that's the underlying factor. You have people that can actually help you, willing to help you, and they're financially aligned to help you become successful at EXP. And guess what? You don't got to pay them. It gets paid out of the business model off the back end if they're successful helping you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
dude, there was a study that said, you pay people just enough so that they don't worry about being paid. Then they could just focus on what they do.
Right.
And so the financial alignment statement is so true, especially in an industry where it is so ego driven. And I don't mean that in a negative way, right? It's an ego drive where it's like, I'm sure if given the right opportunity, I can help these people, right? And that's an empathy, ego balance, that ego drive, right? But here's something that I think, just in general, we have a blind spot to, man. And not just us, man. This is like an industry. And I spoke about this with Kitchens. I spoke about this a few different times. I speak about this with Finale a lot. Man, in alignment financially, we are creating partnerships. Right. We're creating partnerships that have never been offered before. Right. There's high level partnership offerings, minorities, women, like traditionally disenfranchised communities are given a spot at the table to grow right alongside. Man, I listened to your language when you was like, these franchises, just when they're buying these regional franchises, it's just the opportunity to share in revenue. That's it.
That's all it is.
They bought an opportunity.
It's funny you say that. I had a conversation with a woman earlier today who worked with me and for me probably 10, 15 years ago, out of the business, needs to get back in for a lot of reasons. I said, things are really different now. You're going to find, working with the people I work with, you don't just get me, you get all of these people. It's a collaborative effect. And Dan Beer hit the nail on the head when he did his simple video a couple of months ago about you can do a transaction the same way everywhere, right?
Yep.
And but it's not collaborative. Things we're doing here and helping each other. I mean, I don't ever like these to be commercials for what we're talking about, but it's so hard not to have the enthusiasm, and being psyched up about what we do and how we're able to help people, and that's the difference. And when you say, you can have that, right? And I got a comment the other day that we're talking, people talk too much like Amway, but that's not it. That's not it. I mean, you hear a lot of things, but the point is, it's the financial alignment and the personal sacrifice and the personal time that people will give, such as Jay Kinder, such as Sekou. They're willing to give. Oh, you need something? Well, years ago it was, well, you can't help me with any money. I'm not going to work with you. But now it's like, it doesn't matter. It never mattered to me anyway. And I don't think it ever mattered to either of you guys either. Our goal.
The difference is that the time wasn't there, though. Like, so 40, 50 employees. I was up at 4 a.m. Managing and leading a team, and the pressure was always on. To be honest, it's always on.
Yes.
And so you even if you wanted to, I couldn't have been as hands on as I am today. And that's the only difference I would say in terms of, I would have given my shirt off my back to anybody. I think anybody that knows me knows that. But now I can. Like, I can actually help you. I can spend the time. And I got a new agent that's joining it, and and I learned this from Jay Abraham. He loves to work with people that actually do what he says, and then they come back with the next problem that they have because you did what he said, And so I'm the same way. Like, when I meet someone that I know is a doer, and they're going to go do what I'm asking them to do, and then they're going to come back with, all right, I did that, now what? That's my favorite person to work with. And so when I find people like that, I will spend more time with them than I probably should be, just because it's more fun to help people like that. And I've got this agent, this brand new, but she's going to be a killer in the business. And I can't wait to do her game plan call, because I know exactly what she needs to do, and I know she's going to go do it. So I'll have the enjoyment and fulfillment of actually seeing people's lives change. It's just fun, man. I'm fortunate and blessed to be to have not had an ego, and to have said, okay, maybe there's something better than what I'm doing here. Maybe there's a better way that I don't know and don't understand. And I looked at this opportunity the way that I did, and said, hey, okay, I get it. This is a better way for me to add more value to people's lives. Let's go build this thing, right? I'm just grateful for Glenn Sanford for building the business model that allowed me to do
that. Damn right. Exactly. Listen, Jay, I dropped in on a conversation last night. We 8 o'clock every night. We have an accountability call.
Nice.
Right. And it's agents from across the country and apparently from around the world. Right. Because I dropped in on our conversation. I dropped in on the accountability call last night, 5 minutes after it started. And Finale was having a conversation with a young lady in Dubai.
Wow. And
the conversation that she was having, she was a little frustrated because of the challenges around real estate there, not around, fellowship or anything, just around real estate in the way that it's done. And man, when I dropped in, I'm listening to him tell her, well, we can solve this problem, and what are we going to do, and how are we going to look at it? And it was just this magic we that I was listening to. And then I drop in and I'm like, hey, you know what? The fact that you're the trailblazer over there means that it's gonna be tougher, but the hive mind, we've got some of the best minds in real estate that are our resources, time, energy, money, relationships, and information. And we're all going to move in that direction, because if we do this, then we change real estate in Dubai forever. Right. And so that, my friend, is I'm blessed to be in your universe, in Finale's universe, man, in the universe of EXP. And when I meet agents now and they're like, oh God, here comes Sekou, he's Mr. EXP. He's got the t-shirt on and this and that. I'm like, yeah, I hope that you understand that I respect you enough to offer you partnership, that I respect you enough and respect your business enough to introduce this opportunity that so many others have taken. So man, listen, watch out, Jay.
Hey,
right? Watch out.
Man, I appreciate both you guys, and I mean that genuinely. There's nothing more fulfilling than getting to work shoulder to shoulder with people of your caliber, and I'll never take that for granted. So thank you for involving me in the things that you guys are doing as well.
Awesome. I have one question, and then I'm gonna let Sekou ask the last question. We talked about you got a new agent with a game planning call. What is that? What does a game planning call look like to Jay Kinder?
Yeah.
And look, you might say enough that I might hound you to do one for us.
Yeah. No, so I had a feeling you would pick up on that, because I know you probably do the same thing. But it's where we reverse engineer. I make them do the process. I send them the clarity report. We have a little document we go through that's called the clarity report. It's really, it just gets them clear on, man, what are you trying to do and why? What do you want this thing to look like 3 years, 5 years from now? Because, I tell the story, and you probably heard it say, I told a story about how, I set these goals, right, and I hit them, right? We talked about this the whole show, and I remember when I hit 500 transactions. That was not the goal. Okay. The goal ain't selling 500 homes a year, folks. If I thought it was, somebody tricked me into getting on the transaction treadmill, and by God, I was able to get there. But when I got there, I was like, this ain't what I wanted. That's not what I ordered. I thought I was getting financially free by getting to 500 transactions a year. I was not getting financially free. I was getting my ass handed to me. I was working harder than I'd ever worked. I had more pressure than I'd ever had. I was out of shape, overweight, not happy. In relationships, I was out of sync in the 5 equities of life. Like, that's not what the damn goal was. And it was because nobody actually sat me down and said, let's get clear on what you want your life to look like and where you want to be financially in 5 years, right? So I spent 5 to 7 years, whatever it was, climbing this ladder to get up to the top and go, well, that's not what I thought this was going to be like, because I never really got clear. And so that game plan call is about getting clear. I don't care what your goal is. I don't care what you want your life to look like in 5 years and your business to look like in 5 years. I just want you to know what you're trying to accomplish. So now we can reverse engineer a plan to get there, and you'll have so much clarity that you'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's what you really want. It's what your heart's desiring. And so if you don't get clear on that, then you might just end up, you might just like a rudder, a ship without a rudder. We've heard all the cliches, but that's what happens is you just end up coasting around, and you'll end up somewhere, but it won't be where you want to be. And that's, that in real estate, it's too easy for that to happen. So we start there, right? Like, let's do that first and get the game plan together. And then let's go to work on the one thing, right? What are we going to do the next 30 days? What's our focus? Yep.
Laser focus.
So I hope everybody got exact word for word of what Jay just said. So we're gonna try to get him on again and talk just about that. But I got one question from our listeners that I did not want to forget to ask, and it's from Daniel Taylor. It says, what are top 3 books that you would suggest about business and or mindset? What would you suggest, Jay?
Man, so it's that the specific things on mindset, man. I would probably start with time management, even because I think time management is a mindset. I think being productive with your time is a mindset. And it wasn't even until I probably until I read the number 1 book on time management. There's 2 books that I would recommend to everybody that's kind of like all encompassing. One is Chet Holmes' The Ultimate Sales Machine. And I think it's either chapter 1 or chapter 2. He goes into time management, and he hit me right square in the face with pig-headed discipline about your time. And I wasn't pig-headed disciplined about my time. I kind of did what I wanted to do with my time, but so did other people, right? Like, everybody else treated my time.
Start taking advantage, And
so I was like, pig-headed discipline. That's what I was missing. Like, you got to be pig-headed discipline. You got to get pissed off when people waste your time. Don't let people waste your time. And like that, for me, that was a mindset that changed everything for me. And so No BS Time Management is probably, and it might have just been timely for me, but No BS Time Management by Dan Kennedy is probably the most colored up book that I have in terms of like, oh my God, I needed that. And so Ultimate Sales Machine isn't really a mindset book. For me, man, Tony Robbins, for mindset, everything Tony Robbins teaches, and the Personal Power series, I probably listened to it 100 times. And there was something in there that hit me, and it was with triggers, right? Like when you get triggered, we know we talk about it more now, but when I was listening to it before, I'd never really heard the term of being triggered. And it's all about your thoughts, right? Like it's the like when you get triggered and you don't make the calls you should make. You get triggered when you say something to a spouse that they said something and it triggered you. It's not instant, but it's real close to instant. It's like, you get triggered, and then you immediately have a thought that leads to a feeling that leads to a action, and then an undesired result, right? And so, like, every once in a while, my wife will hit that trigger, and I don't know what you got to catch it right then and go like, what was I just thinking? Because it led me to a feeling, and then it's leading me to an undesired result. And so, for me, Tony Robbins, and once I became aware that I could stop that process in the moment, that's when my life changed, right? Like I knew I was in
pattern
control.
interrupt.
Yeah, nothing was happening to me. Everything was happening from me. And one of my biggest life lessons has been is what could I have done differently, right? Like no victim mentality whatsoever, 100% accountability, not victim glasses, and asking in every situation that you didn't get the desired outcome, what could you have done differently? When you start asking that question, it becomes very clear that it was all in your court in the beginning. You had every chance to do something differently, and you guess what? The best part about it is, man, you never feel upset. You never feel disrespected. You never feel like something happened to you that you had no control over. You feel like you always are in control, and no one can control you. You're not giving anyone that gift of being able to take control of you. And so, like, for me, those are the things that, and that's where I, as much of Tony Robbins as you can get is where I feel like, I don't know, there's like one of his books that I would recommend,
No,
but
you got it. It's on a loop.
Yeah,
you just keep that on a loop, man.
It's on a loop.
You keep that on the loop, dude. I got to this point where I said to myself, and I know we're getting ready to go. I got to this point where I said to myself, I need to give up the need to be right. I need to give up the need to be right. I need to stop taking things so personally and give up the need to be right. And so, like you said, man, I don't let anything now. Like when stuff comes up, of course I'm human, so I'm like, what? And
right.
I used to be a fighter. I'm
right.
now right. Take a deep breath, and I tell you, this sentence set me free. Okay, well that's unfortunate.
Right.
I live off of that right now.
Let it go.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
let it go. It's not that important.
So
dude, man,
this
go ahead, brother.
I got to tell you that Jay, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I know why you finally came on. I know we've been trying to get back and forth, but you know what it was, right?
The hat, baby.
We had to get one, right? So now Jay's going to have a hat, and my goal is to give all the people in the world a hat to get on this show. We're 123 into it, and we're making up for some that we didn't give hats in the beginning, but some people have 2 hats now, so we're moving forward. But I want to thank you so much for coming on. Before we go, there's one question that we always ask at the end of the broadcast. I'm gonna let Sek who asked that question. Go ahead, Sek.
Yeah, brother. I'm honored to be able to ask this question, man. We help so many people. How do we help you? How do we help you grow? What can we do to help you?
Man, so shoot, man, keep spreading the love. You know what I'm saying? Like, keep doing what you're doing. And I want to underscore, 123 episodes. That's a phenomenal amount of value put out into the universe. The thing for me that has been the secret has been focus on adding value and do that from your heart. Do that as much as you possibly can, and everything else is going to take care of itself. And you guys are living it. And so that's all I can tell you to do is continue putting value in the universe, continue adding value to people. And for us, everything else is going to take care of itself. And so that's all I would want you to do is pay it forward and continue to add value to people's lives and teach people that same principle that's really what this is all about. Is it's not about you. It's about what you can do for others.
Yes, sir. Can I do one more thing, finale?
Go big.
So I don't know if you've ever seen it, man, Jay, but on Wednesday nights, man, we get together. Just loosey goosey, man. We get together and we make 10,000 contacts in 2 hours.
Holy smokes.
And it's agents from all over the place, agents from across the country and things like that. Last week, we made 15,323 contacts in 2 hours, man. It's like a phenomenal thing, right? But I would love for you to drop in and just freaking kinder all over the place for 5 minutes if you wanted to, man.
Yeah, dude. I would love to. It's funny.
I'll last night, the link.
I want to finish with this one little story. So last night, me and my son were iterating on a funnel, and I was looking at the process we were using, and I remember how I used to think as a salesperson, and I'm trying to get the lead, and there's a little bit of bait and switch in the flavor of it, and I was like, I don't like this. I want to change it. Like, how can we add value? I want somebody that doesn't know who I am to be like, damn, that guy added a whole lot of value to me. I want to meet with them. I want this guy to represent me. That's the feeling I want the buyers to have that are coming through this funnel. Yes. Me and Braden was looking at me kind of funny, like, man, I know what you're saying is right. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm not in a place where I got to make a sale. When I'm always in the place where I had to make a sale, you try to do things to manipulate the funnel and make it work and get you more leads and this, that, and the other. It's not about that. It's about like, how do you become the most valuable person to every single human being you come into contact with?
Absolutely.
That's the key. Like when you start thinking that way, things change. You know what I'm saying? And it becomes fun, man. You're just trying to help people. That's really more fulfilling than anything. It's not even about selling a house. It's just about, hey, how can I help this person? So I'd love to come on and
dude,
play
man,
with
I'll send you a link.
I'll
send you a link next Wednesday, man. It's freaking awesome. It's funny as hell, man. Because like I'm live calling. So people are like cursing me out. We're having fun dealing with the objectives. Right. Dude, man, it's hilarious, bro.
I can't wait. That's great.
Finale, I can't tell you how much I love you and appreciate you for this opportunity, man. And
thank you,
dudes.
Thank you. So we're gonna roll around here. I want to thank everybody for coming on. Jay, this is top 5, man. 123 episodes. This is top 5.
Man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
It was great value, great enthusiasm, great passion. We always talk about. People say, well, I'll be on the interview. It's not about interviewing. It's about having a conversation and what comes to mind. I mean, whether we talk about shit that's we talked about already or whatever, just having fun and talking about what we're passionate about. This was passion filled. If you guys would just stay on for 1 second as we go off, we have a quick conversation at the end. And thank you so much, Jay. I'll talk to you in 1 minute. Just hang out here. We're going to go to where is it? There it is.
There it is.
Next week we have Grant Wise. Grant Wise is on next Friday at 11 Eastern.
Woo!
Nice.